Welcome to another video of my YouTube channel. My name is Hassan and today I'm going to tell you guys about my Group A, B and C predictions. Let's start off with Group A. Group A consists of Mexico, South Korea, South Africa and the Czech Republic. Let's talk about the host first, Mexico. Mexico is coming into this World Cup as co-host and hosting the World Cup the most times in history. Mexico has not lost a single match since the start of 2026. Mexico has had some very tough friendlies like against Portugal, Belgium, and they drew both of those games despite facing very top teams. And they also have some one-sided victories like beating Serbia 5-1. So Mexico overall has a very solid team with a very solid formation that can counter-attack opponents or surprise them with a corner kick goal. Now let's move on to another team from the same group, South Korea. South Korea plays in a 3-4-3 formation that often shifts to a 4-3-3. This formation allows 3 center backs, sometimes with a full back, with 3 strikers and 3 midfielders, so it can often attack on its opponents while having still a wide threat. South Korea consists of Heung-min Son, Kim Kang-in and Kim Min-jae in defense. And they also have some decent youngsters like Lee Kang-in. But their form has not been the best this time as they losing games like against Ivory Coast 4-0, but they've also beaten teams like Trinidad and Tobago 5-0 and El Salvador 1-0. But the main problem is their defense. They're leaking in too many goals. Kim Min-jae used to be a starter from Bayern, but that's not anymore. Now he's a bench warmer and not having too much minutes like he would like. Like South Korea also lost 5-0 to Brazil. That was a very humiliating display with the South Koreans. South Africa had one of the best teams in Africa prior to the AFCON this one. They came in the semi-finals, came third place, and their goalkeeper Williams even won the Golden Glove and was the first African goalkeeper to get nominated for the Yashin Trophy. But recently their form hasn't been this good. Example, this AFCON. This AFCON, South Korea reached this round of 16 losing to Cameroon 2-1. And in the World Cup qualifiers, they did good, topping their group that consists of Nigeria, while getting a 3-point deduction for losing a player who was suspended. Now let's move on to the Czech Republic. The Czech Republic has very unique system, playing in a 4-2-3-1, sometimes shifts to a 3-4-2-1. Their team is very good, mainly leading for draws as they score from set pieces to their advantage, as they have aerial threats like Patrick Schick, who mainly scores from headers. The Czech Republic qualified due to the European playoff paths, beating Denmark and Ireland. So my Group A predictions are Mexico first, Czech Republic second, South Korea third and South Africa last. Now let's move on to Group B. Group B consists of one of the co-hosts Canada, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Qatar and Switzerland. Let's start with one of the co-hosts, Canada. Canada is hosting the World Cup for its first time in history. They're the debutant of hosting the World Cup and they're the only nation that has never hosted a World Cup before from the current hosts. Canada will be hoping and aiming to get their first win / first point too, as they have never managed to do any, and their best player Alphonso Davies has been struggling for injury, so it will be very surprising how they manage his minutes to keep his fitness on top. And their striker like Jonathan David hasn't been on the best form as in Juventus as he was in Lyon. Now let's move on to Bosnia. Bosnia was another team who qualified to the European playoffs. They were supposed to qualify instead of Italy. Italy versus Bosnia was the playoff final, while Italy did score first from Keane, but Bosnia equalized and then won on penalties. So Bosnia also have decent form, beating top teams like Italy and other top teams, and will have a more friendlies coming this month before the World Cup. And another team is Switzerland. Switzerland are by far the favorites to win this group. They beat Jordan 4-1 recently and also beat teams like France in the 2020 Euros. Switzerland are one of those teams who pop up as underdogs and can surprise big teams like France or Spain. And they have a very good chance to come top in this group or maybe even reach the quarterfinals. Now let's move on to Qatar. Qatar qualified to the World Cup by the fourth round of qualifying, and they were really lucky to host the World Cup qualifiers. If they didn't host the fourth round, they would have a high chance not to qualify. Qatar's recent form has been very bad, like losing to Tunisia 3-0, losing to Ireland 1-0, and losing to Palestine 1-0. And they've also dropped to likes of Syria 1-1. So Qatar will be praying that they don't absolutely get embarrassed this World Cup. My predictions are Switzerland first, Canada second, Bosnia third, and Qatar last. Now let's move on to Group C. Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, and Haiti. Let's start with the favorites Brazil. Brazil have won the most World Cup by any nation, and the last time they won it was in 2002 in Japan. Brazil will be hoping if they can win their sixth World Cup and their last World Cup, which they never participate in. The Brazil's recent form have been very good, even if their World Cup qualifiers were very bad, finishing fourth. So if the World Cup was never expanded, they would have not qualified directly, but might have from the Interconfederation playoffs. Brazil's recent friendlies are very good, like beating Panama 6-2, beating Croatia 3-1, but losing against a stacked France side 2-1. Now Morocco. Morocco have some controversy coming to this World Cup from beating Senegal in the AFCON, but the recent form hasn't been that bad, beating Madagascar 4-0, beating Brunei 5-0, and even going undefeated in the AFCON till the final. Now let's move on to Scotland. Scotland have qualified from dramatic fashion to this World Cup, beating Denmark in the final 4-2 thanks to a Scott McTominay bicycle kick. Scotland's recent form hasn't been the best, losing to Austria 1-0. Let's move on to Haiti. Haiti are qualifying to this World Cup after 51 years. They will be hoping to at least survive or make at least third in their group in this World Cup, or maybe even get a win or a point against teams like Scotland or Morocco. Haiti's recent form hasn't been that bad, winning 4-0 against New Zealand. So my group C predictions are Brazil first, Morocco second, Scotland third, and Haiti fourth. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my YouTube channel.